Up until recently, I would say I would wait for it to kind of hit me. People use that term a lot, an intuitive hit. And I had a lot of those throughout my lifetime, right? And I'm sure so many of you can relate, right? That, out of the blue, you'll get this thought or this feeling that you need to follow up. And it is unmistakable, it is loud, and it is clear as day that there is a thing that you need to do, a thing you need to say, a road you need to take, and you find out later that, there was something really big or important or catastrophic that you either avoided or you knew about or what have you. And I know so many of us can relate to those moments where the intuitive hit comes when we're kind of least expecting it. Hello, love. Welcome to the Sacred Purpose Podcast, a place where we illuminate your innate wisdom and help you embody your soul's calling. I'm your host, Lisa Malia, midwife, breast cancer survivor, and mama of 3, turned nonprofit CEO and embodiment coach. We're each on a unique path to live our sacred purpose, but we don't need to walk it alone. Through the power of connection, feminine wisdom, and embodied leadership, we can elevate our lives, communities, and businesses. Each week, I'll bring you transformative stories, practices, and rituals to support you in trusting and following your intuition, creating space to live a life of sacred purpose with deeper clarity and unapologetic joy. As we reimagine and envision a new way forward, are you ready? Let's dive in. Have your intuition on speed dial for confidence in any situation. Just saying that makes me think of, what were those kid books we read in childhood? I think it might have been Judy Blume. Was it Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And just that yearning and that desire to have somebody give you the answers when you are just feeling confused or overwhelmed or just unsure and unconfident in your decisions, right? It's just so nice to just pick up that hotline to God, to self, to intuition, to your higher source and just say, hi, please tell me what to do. And I think of that when I think of my intuition and the way I see people connect to it. It's something that has always fascinated me. And I really wanted to take this opportunity to dive into the subject because I'm really living in a way right now that is so aligned with my intuitive guidance right now. And excited to talk about it even further with you. And in this episode, it's a solo episode, we're going to talk about why trusting your intuition can build self-confidence. And I don't think that this is discussed enough. It's really a way of trusting yourself and not outsourcing your inner knowing and your decision-making to other influences, and how this can lead to soul-aligned manifestation. So we hear the buzzword of manifestation a lot in the space, and especially right now, and what it's like to have soul-aligned manifestation, not wanting things, but really being an energetic match for the life that you want to live, and having that be aligned with your soul's calling and your soul's purpose, and allowing your intuition to guide you to find it, to seek it out, is where the two bridge together so that you can call in what is right for you in this lifetime in the most magnificent and beautiful way. And then talk about a little bit about how we get tripped up with that. We tend to discredit our intuition. It's not something that we give a lot of credit to typically, especially if you're, in a professional setting. You don't really often hear people going, okay, good idea, Lisa, where'd that come from? And I'll just say, it was a download. I got it from my intuition. And you might just say, I slept on it and this is what I came up with, but you rarely hear full credit being given to intuitive guidance. I was open and I received this. And I think it's something I'm wanting to practice more myself, and wanted to just highlight and point that out so that even when we get the guidance and we have that clarity, that we're actually giving it credit and owning it. And that's part of building that confidence muscle. I'm not saying you need to go out there relaying this to people that aren't ready to receive the message or hear it or celebrate it with you. But, even if it's just for yourself, giving that credit to, the source of your inner knowing and the ability and the trust and the faith that you put in it to follow it. When we are in a place where we're seeking an answer, where we're feeling either just confused or overwhelmed or too many choices to make, or there's too much information, and we want to do the right thing. We want the right answer to come. We want to even know what the outcome's going to be, right? Because if we do the right thing, then surely we're going to have the outcome we desire. And the thing is that no matter what the scenario is or whose guidance we're following, the outcome isn't guaranteed. So in a situation where you are following somebody else's recommendations or guidance, and it doesn't go the way that you thought it ought or had hoped, right? So it's easy then to say, oh, well, I shouldn't have listened to them. It's still outside of you. And then even if it exceeds expectations and you get magnificent results, that accomplishment you're still going to outsource and say, well, I owe it all to them. And that doesn't mean that we don't seek outside guidance and counsel, but this is really about being able to own your part of the decision-making process and own your ability to trust yourself so that you build that confidence so that when things don't turn out the way that you thought they ought to or had hoped, you can still be totally and completely responsible for that choice, not in a way to beat yourself up over it, but a way to really own it and say, this is the choice that I made, and this is still in alignment with my soul's purpose and my soul's calling. And this is the lesson that I needed at this time to open up the next step for me on my path. And it's a very different feeling than saying, oh, I just shouldn't have done what they suggested, or I should have done this, or I should have done that. Really being able to reflect on it and hold that and trust that you are on your path and that you are following the guidance from within that keeps you on that path because something is calling you in that way, and the outcome will be more beautiful than you can imagine when you get there. So I wanted to point that out because not only are there just no guarantees what the outcome may be, but you want to be able to, when things do exceed expectations, when they exceed expectations, that you can say, this was me following my intuition, my knowing, my sacred purpose, and this is where it's leading me. And so that also can build your confidence. And how do we listen to that intuition? How do we tap into it? Where does that guidance come from? When we've done all the work, right? This doesn't mean you don't do the groundwork or the legwork and you gather the best information possible, and you may even have the best team possible. But when it comes down to making a decision and having clarity around it and having confidence in that decision and finding that clarity that gives you that confidence. How do you silence the noise? And, when there's that fork in the road and you say, I'm going to go this way versus this way. And for me, I know for me, best example I can think of always, and there's millions more in my lifetime, of course, but when it was after my breast cancer diagnosis and I was trying to pick a team of doctors and I was trying to pick a treatment plan and I was trying to, what hospital, there were so many decisions to make along the way. And I was getting bombarded with advice, and every doctor had a different opinion and every doctor had a different treatment plan and every doctor had a different skill set. And I had just overwhelmed myself with information. I ended up taking a path that was not recommended. Most people thought that I was I'd lost it. I had made all the wrong choices. And this was clearly just like not the best route of treatment to take. And yet I knew in my soul, this was the only thing that was going to allow me peace and rest at night. That no matter what I did, as far as choosing a treatment plan, there was no guarantee anyways. So I might as well do with the information that was available. At the end of the day, the thing that felt right in my soul. And to this day, I'm so grateful for that decision. It has not steered me wrong. In fact, I later on got evidence, and this could be a whole nother episode, and possibly it will be one day, that I didn't expect. I actually got scientific evidence post-treatment that I had actually made the best decision for me. But that didn't come till later, and I certainly wasn't expecting it, but it was a gift. I have another story to share. When it comes to trusting our intuition, and you'll see why I'm giggling later. When it comes to trusting our intuition and getting the answers that we think we want, one of the ways that we trip ourselves up is maybe we don't want to trust it. There's a part of us sometimes that doesn't always want to hear the truth. And we think we want answers and we think we want clarity. And what we really want is one specific answer. And that might not be the one that we get. We may want something so badly, whether it's a job or a house or a relationship or whatever it is, whether or not you're deciding to stay in a relationship or leave a relationship, you think you want to get this big aha moment, but you're wanting a certain answer. And so you're not really open to receiving the answer that's true and the answer that you need because you're very much attached to a specific outcome. And so the reason I was giggling is because at one time I was in a situation like that where I really was feeling so desperate for a way out of a situation I was in, and I couldn't see it. And I was in agony, literally torturing myself with what to do. And I found myself not making any decision because I was so afraid of making the wrong decision. I couldn't do this or I couldn't do that. And everything felt like I couldn't. And I was just trapped more and more. And so I was in a circle with a beautiful council of women, and this beautiful soul guided me through a future self meditation. I don't know if any of you have done one of these, but they are beautiful. They are powerful. And the idea behind a future self meditation, if you haven't done one, is to meet the higher version of yourself. And this part of you that has all that clarity and that confidence, who has already arrived at the destination that you want to be at, coming back to meet you and offer you counsel and guidance on how you might get through your current situation or block. And so we sat down together to go through this meditation. She's a beautiful guide. I trust her completely. And so I'm all in. I'm feeling open. I desperately want answers, or so I think. And throughout this meditation, and I'm going to meet my future self, and I'm in this beautiful meadow, and I can't quite get to her. And I notice her kind of in the distance, and she's looking at her, and I'm like, she's behind a tree. What is my future self doing hiding behind a tree? So I know this sounds like a completely ridiculous story. If you've never done a meditation like this, but looking back on it now, it makes me laugh. Of course, at the time I was very distraught and thought that there was definitely something wrong with me. I was, I had no intuitive capacity. I certainly, my spirit was blocked, all of those things, just a lot of self-doubt. And and I'm so desperately wanting this to work, not just, to be able to meet my future self, because how wonderful is that, but to also just receive the answer that I so desperately wanted, but I really wasn't open to receiving. And I was afraid. I was afraid of the answer I was going to receive. I didn't want to hear what my future self had to say. I already knew what she might offer me. And I didn't want to hear it. I wasn't ready for it. I was afraid of it. And I, for whatever reason, felt safer feeling trapped and stuck and frozen and not making a decision than really trusting and believing in what I already knew. And so that's just one of the ways in which we can kind of shut ourselves down, in that it sounds really wonderful on the one hand to say, oh, it's so freeing. I just, can go follow my intuition and, just do whatever it says. But it comes sometimes with what might feel like a loss or a challenge or, courage just to overcome that fear and change and make a big change in your life by truly following it. So I wanted to recognize that because I'm not sure that that's also discussed enough, the ways that we can hear it or block it. And it's usually has to do with a fear, something that we're not quite ready to hear. And that's okay. If you are in that place and you need more time and you need more information, that's completely normal. I'd like to normalize that, but then also encourage you, if you're in a situation like that, to find a place in which you can create movement and freedom so that we can alleviate some of the pressure of feeling stuck and releasing some of the pressure of feeling like there isn't a way forward, so that you can see possibility and feel hope. And even if you don't have all the answers yet, you have a little bit of movement and a little bit of clarity. And then we can find a little bit more and a little bit more until, sometimes it comes in a big moment, or sometimes you just keep following the breadcrumbs. So whichever way it comes to you, I just encourage you to stay with it and have so much compassion for yourself for whatever it is that you're in, because I so remember what that's like. And allowing yourself some grace, and then also allowing yourself some movement, really, really being brave and finding that courage and the support you need to just give yourself a little bit of movement where you can, to find that possibility and open that up and start building that trust muscle until you're ready for some of the big changes that might be ahead. So yeah, long story short, I think that was just before my big move to Seattle. And I didn't even see it coming through that way. I had no intentions of moving. That wasn't even my question about what to do next with my life. That came a little bit later, and it turned out to be obviously one of the best things I've done, but it wasn't at all the solution that I thought that I needed at the time. So I wanted to then go into how it is that I tap into my intuition. And I want to know how it feels for you too. I want to know, leave me a comment, leave me a review, send me a DM. This is one of my favorite topics. And the tool that I'm using currently is hypnobreathwork. It's part of my morning practice now. And I am so passionate about hypnobreathwork right now. I really believe it is the tool of our time. One, because it's so accessible. It is breath. It is everywhere. We all have access to breath. And I think because of this pandemic and the way that our nervous systems have been hijacked over the last couple of years, and just the noise and the influence and the confusion and all the rapid changes around us, and just the difficulty that we're having staying grounded so that we can even access our own intuition, has become more and more challenging. And with hypnobreathwork, it allows you to ground into your body first. It relieves that stress. It lowers your cortisol. It helps you feel more present. It's like a meditation, except for so much more, because you're incorporating the breath work. You have something to focus on more than in a meditation where your mind might just be still racing. When you're consciously breathing, you really need to focus on the breath. So it helps to calm the mind, land in your body, so that you can really go into the session with an intention and to really tap into that subconscious, your intuition. And I say it's the bridge. For me, it's the bridge between my inner knowing and my higher self, so that I can access that intuitive guidance. And breath work is the bridge for me. And I really think it's what we need right now because of the environment that we're in. And it's become my favorite tool in my morning practice, and I've used a lot of tools, and I will continue to. I love energy work. I love meditation. I love prayer and movement and yoga and my crystals and all the yummy things, right? But the one that's become my daily go-to non-negotiable has become this breathwork practice, so that I can receive clarity and confidence around what it is I need to do that day. And it can be absolutely anything. It can be a creative writing block I'm trying to work through. It can be, what is it I need to work through today, or, when there's too much going on and I'm having trouble just finding clarity or calm or peace, or just reducing stress and helping me make a decision that I need to that day, or figure out what my next project is. that guidance is just, it's limitless. And for me, it's the best way to just quiet my mind and help me decide what my priorities are that day, and make decisions that are aligned with my calling, my soul, my heart, so that I can show up in my life, in my community, and in my work in a way that is so aligned that no matter what the outcome is, I am confident in what I have done and created, because it came from my source. And I own that. And I'm so grateful for it. And I want to give it the credit that it deserves, and the ability that it gives me to show up more fully in the work that I do with confidence. So I just wanted to pass that along to you, offer it to you, and so curious to see what lands for you, how you work with your intuition. Is it something that you have confidence in? Is it something that comes and goes? How does it show up for you? Up until recently, I would say I would wait for it to kind of hit me. People use that term a lot, an intuitive hit. And I had a lot of those throughout my lifetime, right? And I'm sure so many of you can relate, right? That, out of the blue, you'll get this thought or this feeling that you need to follow up. And it is unmistakable. It is loud and it is clear as day that there is a thing that you need to do, a thing you need to say, a road you need to take. And you find out later that, there was something really big or important or catastrophic that you either avoided or you knew about or what have you. And I know so many of us can relate to those moments where the intuitive hit comes when we're kind of least expecting it, right? The difference is being in a place where you can access it at will and really dive into it and meet it. So you can meet your intuition, meet your inner knowing and your inner guidance, that information, that knowing that it was so ripe in some of those moments that you can access it just like that. That type of clarity is what I'm talking about, and being able to come to it and meet it from the other side and say, okay, I am going to go meet with the intuition and see what kind of clarity I can find when I arrive to it, instead of waiting for it to come and hit me, which I am still available for, because I know that there is so much beyond me that I don't even know. So yeah, juicy stuff, right? Let me know. Like I said, just reach out. So when it comes to hypno breath work, if you're curious, and I so encourage you to come give it a try if you haven't already, I do monthly new moon intention sessions that are for free. So it's a perfect way for you to come in and give it a try. So there'll be a link in the show notes to that, so you can come and join that. It's just an open door. Come RSVP and show up as you are, and let me know how it feels for you. If you've tried it, or if you just know, hey, this sounds amazing and I am all in, Lisa, let's work together. I have one-on-one packages for hypno breath work. They're on my website under the body and breath bundles, package of 6. Sign up and we can get started right away and figure out how you can incorporate this into your daily morning practice. And then I have an on-demand session that you can also purchase. It's just $10, and you can play it every morning the way you would in meditation, and guide yourself through a hypno breathwork session. Incorporate that into your morning practice if you wish that way too. So lots of options for you. Let me know again how it feels, and I cannot wait to hear from you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, loves. I'm so happy to have you here with me. It's an honor to have you tuning in each week. I want you to know that no matter where you're at and no matter what transition you're facing, you are supported and loved. You are whole, and you are more than capable as you are in this moment. You always have been. If you're ready to lean into a life of purpose, clarity, and joy through sisterhood, ritual, and intention, join us in the Connected Circle. Consider us your soul squad of women navigating all the transitions of life together. To join now, head over to my website, lisamalia.co, and join the Connected Circle at the very top of the page. I'll see you there. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this show, please share, subscribe, rate, and write a review. This helps the goddess of the algorithm guide other incredible people to find this show and supports the work we do here. It really does make a difference, and I would be so, so grateful. With all my love, have a beautiful day.